Imagine this. Long before the pyramids rose, before the clay tablets of Mesopotamia dried under the sun, a river whispered secrets older than time itself. A young boy sat by its banks, listening to his grandmother's stories. Tales of gods walking among humans, and of wars that shook the heavens. But what if those stories weren't just myths? What if the stars above still remember every word ever spoken? What if the truth of Sanatan Dharma, of Hindu Sanskriti, stretches not 5,000 years, not even 12, but 14,000 years into the frozen dawn of time? This isn't just history, it's the oldest story ever told, still burning, still alive. The only question is, how far back does the flame really go? Stay with me as we follow this ancient trail through fire and river, through story and starlight. Because what you're about to hear might just change how you see time itself. The air hangs heavy with the scent of sandalwood, curling like soft mist above the sacred river. A young boy sits by the banks of the Ganges, the gentle lap of water against the stones, whispering beneath the orange glow of sunset. A small fire crackles before him, its sparks rising like tiny stars born from the earth. Beside him, his grandmother's voice flows like the river itself, gentle, wise, filled with wonder. She tells him of gods who once walked the land in human form, of a noble prince exiled into deep forests for 14 long years, of a war that shook heaven and earth, where divine weapons blaze like suns. The boy listens, eyes wide, heart racing. These stories don't feel like legends from old scrolls. They feel alive, breathing, as if the god's footsteps still echo in the soil beneath him. Years pass. The boy becomes a man. His hands now carry the calluses of life, but the same questions still burn in his heart. One quiet evening, under a sky full of stars and the distant hum of temple bells, he finally asked himself, how old are these stories really? How far back does the flame his grandmother once lit, warm, flickering, eternal, truly reach? That flame, that unbroken chain of wisdom, of rituals, of sacred knowing, glows like hidden embers in the dark. We call it Hindu Sanskriti, Sanatana Dharma, the eternal way, its light piercing through the veils of time. Some books say it's only 4,000 years old. Some scholars whisper 12, but others, they look to the stars and see something far older, lost in the mists of forgotten ages. What if the truth runs deeper than any number carved in stone? What if the river itself remembers, its waters carrying secrets from worlds unseen? What if the stars above, scattered like diamonds on black velvet, still guard the proof? Picture this, Mohenjo-Daro, around 3,300 BCE. The sun blazes high, baking the earth into shades of red and gold. An ancient city hums with life, streets laid out in perfect grids, merchants calling out in busy markets, water splashing in great stone baths. The air smells of baked clay and grain, stored in tall granaries. Archaeologists brush the dust away from a small seal, cool, smooth, perfectly carved. On its surface sits a calm figure, cross-legged in deep meditation, surrounded by watchful animals under a crown of horns. They call him Proto-Shiva, Pashupati, Lord of the Animals, a god whose gaze seems to pierce across time itself. In a quiet museum centuries later, that same boy, now a man, stands before the seal, glass between him and history. The faint hum of lights fills the air. He reaches out, his fingers hovering near the glass, and a shiver runs through him. The posture on the seal, he knows it well. It's how he sits each morning during meditation, dew cold beneath his feet. How his grandmother once sat at sunrise, her shawl wrapped like mist around her shoulders. The same stillness, the same peace. The thread stretches back, not broken, not lost. 5,000 years and still glowing, connecting the present to a time when gods and humans may have shared the same ground. But he wonders, is this where it truly began? Or is this only the first whisper we can still touch, the edge of something far older, waiting just beyond reach? The wind over Mohenjo-Daro stirs the dust. It carries voices, faint, ancient, and familiar, and the man listens, knowing the story is only beginning. Then came the Vedas, sweeping in like a monsoon wind, carrying the scent of rain on parched earth. They were carried across mountains and valleys by people whose footsteps we can only imagine. Some say around 1500 BCE. Others whisper much earlier, when glaciers still shimmered beneath the sun. The Rig Veda, the oldest of them all, verses like thunder rolling across the sky, hymns to fire altars glowing in the night, to Agni, the sacred flame, to Soma, the divine drink, bitter and sweet, to the gods of storm and sky, lightning flashing across the horizon. The man sits alone, reciting one verse aloud. The words vibrate in his chest, deep, powerful, alive. Ancient, yes, but not dead. They pulse with energy, as fresh as the first raindrop falling on dry earth. Scholars date these hymns between 1500 and 1200 BCE. Their lines passed down for generations by memory alone, unchanged, perfect, echoing through centuries. That alone makes them older than nearly any living civilization. And yet, something keeps tugging at him, a question that refuses to rest. The Vedas speak again and again of a mighty river, the Sarasvati, wide, roaring, lined with blooming lotuses. A river so sacred, its name itself was prayer. But today that river is gone, dry and silent. Its ghostly bed snakes through golden sands, revealed only by satellites gazing from above. Science says it once flowed strong, thousands of years before 1900 BCE, long before the Vedic age we're told about. The man stares at those satellite images, tracing the faded lines with his finger. He imagines the sound of rushing water, the laughter of people along its banks. How can the hymns speak of a river that vanished long before their supposed birth? Unless the Vedas themselves are far older than our records dare to admit, older than our history books allow. Their origins hidden deep in the mists of prehistory, waiting to be rediscovered. Now the night sky opens like a great scroll of memory. Constellations turn backward in time, stars drifting into the patterns they once formed thousands of years ago. Each point of light, a witness to the ages. Among those stars, new research begins to unfold. Not through blind belief, but through science, precise, patient, unblinking. Scholars and astronomers study the ancient epics not as myths, but as coded records of the sky itself. They open the Ramayana, tracing each description, planets in rare alignments, eclipses that darken the sun, comets streaking across forgotten skies. Every celestial clue is entered into modern astronomy software, data glowing like embers in the dark. The program searches, back, further back, across centuries, across the ice of deep time. And then, one moment shines through the dark, 12,209 BCE. Over 14,000 years ago, when the northern world still lay under ice. Could this be when Rama walked the earth? Every event described, his birth, his exile, the Great War, matches perfectly with the stars of that frozen age. Not myth, not story, but a map of the heavens written in verse. Skeptics question it, calling it coincidence, numbers bent to fit belief. Yet the pattern holds. So researchers turn next to the Mahabharata, rich with hundreds of astronomical details. Among them, a single rare event stands apart. Arundhati walking ahead of Vasishta, something nature allows only once in thousands of years. The data runs again, and the answer appears. Around 5,561 BCE, over 7,000 years ago, when a war thundered across the plains, and the words of the Gita were spoken beneath those same stars. The constellations do not lie. They remember. They watched everything, the rise and fall of kingdoms, the battles of light and shadow, and their silent glow still carries that memory. The man sits in the dark, eyes lifted to the same sky. If these records match the heavens so precisely, then Sanatana Dharma is not just ancient, it reaches beyond recorded time itself, back to an age of ice, when humanity first looked up and began to understand the cosmos. And now, the story turns toward the earth itself, to bones, to soil, to the silent witnesses buried beneath our feet. A new idea begins to take shape, bold, quiet, but growing stronger with every discovery. It suggests that the ancient tongues of the world, Sanskrit, Greek, Latin, did not arrive here from distant lands, but were born here, in the fertile heart of India. That from this cradle, language and knowledge flowed outward, carried by seekers, not conquerors. A river of ideas spreading to distant horizons. Genetic studies trace the lineages of ancient people, and the results whisper continuity, not invasion. No sudden flood of outsiders, no vanishing of one people to make way for another. Only a long, slow rhythm, life evolving, adapting, continuing. Archaeologists dig deeper. Ruins like Rakhigari reveal skeletons resting in silence for 5,000 years. Their DNA telling a story of belonging, not displacement. Civilizations didn't collapse by war, but by the shifting of rivers and the turning of seasons. The Sindhu Sarasvati culture did not disappear, it transformed, flowing gently into what we now call Vedic life. He opens an old book one last time, its pages soft, its verses alive with quiet power. The ancients once said, "We teach facts, not faith." They observed the universe with eyes sharper than any instrument and turned those observations into timeless wisdom. In the Upanishads, they spoke of reality shaped by the observer, the same truth modern physics now rediscovers in the language of particles and waves. Long before labs and equations, they saw it all, through silence, through stillness, through mind. The man closes the book, eyes wet with awe. This tradition gave the world the number 0, a symbol of infinity in a single curve. It gave yoga, movement like flowing rivers. It gave meditation, breath steady as mountains. It gave nonviolence, strength wrapped in compassion. Gifts that still guide humanity today. And yet, its greatest secret remains hidden in plain sight. It doesn't just belong to the past. It breathes in every heartbeat, every chant, every sunrise over the Ganges. Because Sanatana Dharma is not about how old something is. It's about what never dies. Sanatana, not merely old, but timeless, infinite, unbroken. The river still flows, the stars still watch, and the tradition lives on, in you, in me, in all of us. A single flame shared across eternity. Subscribe to AI Storytelling for more journeys into timeless tales.